Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome, finally, to round 5 of Who Reviews the Reviewers. Before we get started, let me mention that, unfortunately, sadly, we're not going to have the review spot with us today. We're going to have to do this without him. He wasn't able to make it tonight, and we had to go ahead. We had to go ahead because we're 5 weeks out already, and it was going to be another couple weeks. So we're going to go ahead and go without the review spot, but we are going to get his votes later. So his votes will count. He's just not going to be on the show tonight. And here are my remaining co-hosts. The only one out of 8 people today who won't be scrutinized by either judges or by contestants. It's Vince.
I am invincible.
I can't believe you've never made that joke before.
The only person in the history of the world to ever suggest that Tom Servo should play Bane in a Batman movie. It's the real Manos.
Hey, everybody, I want to give big ups to all my subs.
And my personal favorite disembodied voice out of nowhere, it's Browncoat Eric.
I'm the favorite.
Do you have a physical entity somewhere?
I revisit it sometimes.
He has the ability to shift between corporeal and non-corporeal forms.
It's like Infinity Gauntlet when Thanos leaves, body's just there.
Actually, in Fantastic Four 2, Eric is just a cloud.
Yeah. But I might have a body of a body.
So there are 4 contestants left right now, and at the end of today's videos, we'll only have 3. Who's going to get Top Banana and who's going to sadly have to leave us today? We'll find out after today's deliberations. But first, let's remind everyone what the eventual winner will receive, assuming the contest ends sometime in our lifetime. Vince, tell us what the winner gets.
You will get a lovely $50 gift card. You will be able to participate in a podcast with Cap and Vince, and you will be able to participate in a panel with the judges.
Can I say something before we start?
Yes,
No.
sir.
At least for me personally, the Top Banana and whoever gets voted off this week are going to be entirely nitpicks. All of the videos were really, really good. So even if you get voted off, if you didn't do a bad video, they were all really good.
I also I agree. I also like to add that if these videos had been done, let's say, first week, any one of these could have won. So, I mean, they were all very good.
You know, the person who gets voted off, it's because it's more for the contest rather than you made a bad video. I think all the videos were good, so...
I guess they could all split the $50 gift card. So last time we unfortunately had to vote off Tori GNR1. We all really loved his videos. He was a fantastic sport. Good luck to him and his channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I also want to mention that he recently put up a Q&A for his subscribers. I think he's hit like 200 subscribers, I think. And he did a Q&A, and one of the questions was how he felt about his experience on Who Reviews the Reviewers. And he had a lot of really positive things to say about it. Do go check that video out. It's the first part of his Q&A.
Yeah, I was the one who asked him, actually.
You were the one.
Yeah, I asked him
and
that.
the truth comes out.
I've subscribed to him recently. I just think he's got a great channel.
And today we're going to review the reviewers of our reviews. Everybody with me? Okay.
Where are we?
We assigned each reviewer a panelist and asked them to review one of our video reviews, and we're going to begin with Mr. Corellian's review of Manos' review of the film Let Me In.
The first thing that struck me about this review was the mood of it. It was very unprofessional, but in a good way. It was very easygoing and comfortable, and it was actually done in an interesting way, that this was just an impromptu conversation that he was having about this movie that he had seen. And it was actually funny because, like, so the whole video, he's making himself this bowl of cereal, you know, and by the end he has the milk in it, and he has the cereal in it, and he's picked up the spoon a few times, but he hasn't taken a bite, and I've been waiting for this bite to be taken, and right as he picks up the spoon to put it in his mouth is when the video ends. And
we're going to start with Vince.
I would like to say that Corellian, or rather Mr. Corellian, is pretty gutsy. I think it's interesting that Manos chose him because he has at least a fairly similar format to what Manos has. But in the review of Manos' video, he doesn't use the format that he'd been using. He doesn't use Manos' format. He changes it up and puts the video of Manos' video over his video. So it's just his voice rather than him sitting in front of a camera and talking. So we
This is going to get loopy really fast, isn't it?
It's interesting that he chose an edited video style rather than reviewing Manos' style with Manos' style. I found it interesting that he let his girlfriend speak. I sort of felt like that was just to create some sort of joke to where he can make fun of, or at least, raillery, good-spirited making fun of who reviews the reviewers. I wasn't off-put by that. I was just a little surprised. I thought, okay, I guess he's willing to share the spotlight a little bit. So I think that's a good thing. Of course, Mr. Krellan's not foreign to editing, but I thought it was a little gutsy. He points out Manos' personal style and why Manos seems credible, and he does address some weak points that Manos has. I thought the video was overall good for content, but I thought the tech issues were, while understandable, things like that do happen, I do think it's still a problem.
This video was really, really funny. One of the things that the majority of the videos this week did was that they had a really good sense of humor about the fact that they got to review us. And I thought the jokes with the bribes and then Manos getting both Chop Banana and getting voted off, I thought that was really funny. I thought the review was really, really good. I think it's the only one that uses actual audio from the video that they're reviewing.
Well, what's his name? Mr. Fusion uses Cap's audio just as a constant behind the scene.
Oh, does he?
His own voice.
Yeah, he does. It's really subtle. It's there, but he never stops. You never actually hear me say anything.
Oh, okay. And there was the minor technical error of the audio being out of sync, but that didn't bug me because we only heard Manos talk a couple of times. But I thought his critique of Manos' video was really good. I really like the fact that he's like, man, he's really unprofessional in a good way.
Yeah.
He did a really good review, and all of them did a really good review, but I thought he was really, really on the ball with his humor in this one. I thought it really, really worked here.
Vince, you mentioned that he doesn't use... he doesn't do Manos' style at all. There's places where he subtly does Manos' style though. Like he's not in front of the camera talking, but the thing with his wife, I don't think is just to make fun of who reviews the reviewers. I think it's also to make fun of Lindsay. I think
take that, Lindsay.
Or maybe it's not even make fun of so much as an homage. But I honestly. I kind of think it would have been cooler if at the end he had said "push the button" like his girl. I think his wife's name is Lauren.
Push the button, wife.
He'd done that. I was hoping he'd do that. But anyway, but the fact that he had her talk a couple times, Manos does that every so often. Where like he'll be in the middle of a video and then he'll be like, "Oh, I can't remember that. Lindsay, do you remember?" And then, like, if you've never watched Manos before, you'll be like, well, who is he talking to?
It would have been great if Corellian had a bowl of cereal sitting in front of him at the end of the video.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
This is how you eat!
But he had a lot of really good points about Manos, and he picked a really good video too, because I think that video is really indicative of the way Manos makes videos, and it's not the only time he's ever done a video in the kitchen. Manos does videos in the kitchen.
My favorite one is the one where he pulls the DVD box set out of the fridge.
I never saw that. Well, my favorite of Manos' videos is still the Batman cake, but...
Oh, Batman cakes are so delicious.
But anyway, I thought that he did a good job of not just sucking up to Manos. Like, he had a lot of good ideas for improvement, and he'd say, Manos is meandering a little bit. He could be a little bit more critical of the movie and make it a little bit less about cool tidbits and more what does he actually think about the movie itself. And I did think it was really funny that he pointed out that Manos said, "Before I get started," 3.5 minutes into the video. And his video was really well organized. He starts with some cons, and then he goes to pros. And what's cool is, since he's making fun of Manos a little bit, but then he's also being really really fair and constructive criticism, and he's got to make fun of himself too. So he makes fun of his own laugh, and that was great.
Well, his wife makes fun of the laugh. She's like, "Oh, the laugh."
Well, he says, "Oh no, I did the laugh," and then she said,
"Oh, that's right."
And then she quotes Vince from that one time when Vince said, "Oh, flaws."
I just gotta say, I like his lady friend.
Yeah. You guys were talking about the out of sync thing, and the only big thing for me was that at the very end, it wasn't that it was out of sync that bothered me so much, but the fact that it cut off before he was finished talking.
Yeah.
So
Actually, if you go back to the video, because I rewatched them all just prior to doing this.
I think he puts up text and tells you what he said.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, well, I'm glad he did that. So that's good.
I chose his video. It was between him and Fusion. I decided to go with him, of course, because I felt we were sort of, had a little kinship in the style that we do. And I agree. I think it was interesting that he chose to kind of avoid that style somewhat and, show my video as he spoke over it. And you're right. He did what the best videos in this challenge did is he just had fun with it, and he had fun with it in the style where he's, sort of poking fun at the Who Reviews the Reviewer show with him and his wife discussing over, the video of my review, as well as voting me on and off. And yeah, he just had a lot of good fun. There's, the bribe at first was very funny, so funny that I felt
you recreated it.
Yeah,
perfectly.
to respond to that. Yeah,
and we all know what you bribed him with now.
That's right. And he also,
Vince, did you see that? No. He bribed him with a Twilight bookmark.
And what was funny was, what was cool was after I posted it, I thought, oh man, I hope he's not offended or anything like that. And then he loved it, and his wife loved it, and they both favored it. So that I felt a little bit better. It's like, okay, they're cool. They have a sense of humor too. Good. I will conclude that the audio glitches are a problem. I think his new camera. I think it's just a new camera, right? He's been having a little trouble with.
Okay, now we're going to go on to Shades at Night's review of Eric's Spider-Man Noir review.
Before I get into the meat of Eric's review, I want to talk about Eric's presentation and style. I was surprised when Eric chose me to review one of his videos on the opinion that our videos are very similar in style. Both of us do our reviews off camera, but Eric generally improvises what he says in his reviews, a skill that I do not yet possess. I just can't sit in front of my microphone and do a review. I'd get too scatterbrained, and while I'm sure Eric sometimes writes down a list of points of things to cover in his review, the fact that Eric can do these reviews off the cuff is something that I really respect. Eric's reviews usually feel a lot more like a fellow fan having a conversation with you, as opposed to a regular structured review.
I think Shades, he gives respect where it's due. He discusses. I think it's interesting that he discusses the likability of Eric, which I think is one of Eric's strong suits. Not trying to boots your boots. That's not a word.
He's trying to boot your ego.
I'm trying to trample all over you, Eric. But anyway,
don't worry, I'm not going to vote you off.
I do think that's one of Eric's his strong suits, is that he has a very likable personality that comes through in his voice. I mean, strictly, it's only his voice. So he talks about some formatting issues with Eric and how just the picture and the disembodied voice can kind of be off-putting, especially since there's no real editing to it. It's just a picture. He discusses some issues of clarity with Eric, or about Eric rather. I think that Shades is able to relate his own opinions to Eric's without being biased. Like, I think he understands the difference between personal preference and critical opinion. I think it's interesting that he acknowledges the difference between recommends and review, which is one of the things that we've been really pushing within this contest.
Yeah.
And he happens to find one of Eric's videos that potentially does that and then points it out. So I think it was a good review.
I thought it was a really good video. I thought he spent a little bit too much time talking about just my channel and my style, as opposed to the actual review. When he got to the actual review, I thought he did a really good job. Like, I felt like I'd let him down when he was like, yeah, he didn't explain why it's noir and not pulp. And I was like, oh, I've let this person down.
You have a bit of a continuity to your videos, and you did a whole video about that.
That's true, but I also have over 1,000 videos, so
yeah, there's that.
Have fun picking out the continuity.
But I'm just saying they were close to each other. I mean, I think they were only about a month apart.
Okay. But I thought the review was really good. The only maybe complaint I have with it is that there were points where I felt like he was maybe being, I don't want to say reverential, but there was points where it seemed like he was kind of pulling it back a little bit because I was going to be reviewing this video. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but I thought he was maybe pulling some punches here and there. But I thought on the whole it was a really good video.
Well, first of all, I think it was. I'm not sure he had to point it out, but I think it was smart of him to not review another X-Men thing.
Hmm.
And I mean, he brings that up at the beginning.
I was actually expecting that.
I really wanted to do this, but then I thought they'd hate me. I think, Erica, you made a really good point, and I want to build on it. I think maybe you're right in that he was maybe a little bit too subconscious about the contest itself. Having said that, one of the criticisms I've had of Shades on a couple of videos at least is that I felt that he's made really good, adequate videos, but that he hasn't necessarily sometimes stepped it up and really played the game. And I think here that was his attempt at doing that. But I think maybe he was showing his hand just a little bit. I actually like the fact that he talked about presentation and style and how he compared his style to Eric's. But maybe that's just me because I watch him and I watch Eric, and so I found it interesting to see what he thought of that. But I liked it when he said that Eric is like a fellow fan having a conversation with you. That's the appeal to Eric, and he seemed to have this really good grasp of not every reviewer is for everyone. And I think that's a really good thing to note. There's not necessarily a standard way to do this. That's the reason that when we started, we didn't say you have to be on camera or you can't be on camera. Things like that. There's not one way to do this, and there are certain things that a good review ought to have, but they're not necessarily going to be for everybody. So some people might like a more systematic type review, and then some people might like something more laid back. And for those people, you have Eric.
Actually, one thing I want to add about this video was that he says that I don't script my stuff and he scripts his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't know that. He sounds really natural in this video and in all of his videos. He doesn't come off as sounding scripted, so I think that's pretty impressive.
I've always known he was scripted, but I think it's because I do scripted reviews.
I always thought he was scripted. I just thought he was a good orator.
One thing I noticed is that he's the one of the four that didn't have like an angle or a gimmick. He played it exactly the way he always plays these. Where and I mean it was really good. It was really straightforward, and he wasn't going for the jokes. Like the other three felt like it would be a good idea to acknowledge how strange this particular challenge is, because I mean, admittingly, it's a weird thing to ask someone to do, and I mean everybody was really cool with it. They all really went with it. I didn't feel like anybody had the attitude of, oh God, why am I doing this? This is dumb. But they acknowledged it, and he didn't acknowledge it. He played it like he's played every video. Again, it's not good or bad. It's just something I noticed. It was interesting. I thought if he was gonna do any review that he was gonna play for comedy, this would be the one.
Well, he also had the challenge of reviewing the judge who has, out of the group of us, been reviewed the most.
That's true.
I've seen a number of people review you, Eric, and giving you glowing reviews and not so glowing reviews. And I agree that he does a great job dissecting why someone be into your videos and why maybe they wouldn't. Also, I don't know. This may be a little weird, but I love the fact that he had the freeze frame of the YouTube page of your video. And then, of course, we have the YouTube page around that. So it was a little,
yeah,
it was a little disconcerting, but it was interesting. I did appreciate the fact that he just went ahead and did a straightforward review, as usual. I don't really have any too strong opinions either way. Can't really think of anything else, really.
Okay, now we're going to go on to the Evil Professor's review of ReviewSpot's Autobot review.
Now, let's move on to the meat of the video where we look at more of Autobot Drift. As we carry on with the video, we should point out that the ReviewSpot does have a very organized way of doing things. There was a clear beginning, which we saw a little bit of, the middle, which we're kind of looking at now, and then there is an ending later on. It's very nice to have things organized in such a way. Now, I have skipped over a little bit. I skipped over the in-package view of the figure, and that's because, I'm not terribly interested in the package too much, and I wonder if we spend a little bit too much time on it. However, I do like looking at the figure itself, and here we're looking at the figure in its vehicular mode. Now, again, it does roll, which is excellent, as most cars should, and we do get to see how all the accessories snap into place and can be held on the figure, which is excellent. It's really good of the ReviewSpot to show us that level of detail. Hey, did we see what just happened there? Yeah, of course we did. We had a very nice transition effect. Looks really good. And now the car has magically turned into a robot, which is excellent because that's kind of what Transformers do. However, my problem here is that we did not see the figure transform. Now, I've been to the TheReviewSpot's channel, and I know why he doesn't do this. Perhaps a case of performance anxiety. But
I like this review. I thought the text worked well independently of the spoken word, but I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. I think the text was distracting from what he was saying, because I found myself having to back up and rewatch parts of the video because I just started reading what was on the screen, like, oh, that's funny, let's see what he... Wait, I'm watching a review. Let's see what he had to say for
I'm not
that.
sure he did it any more or less than his other videos, though, did he?
Well, for the most part, what he had were this very, very tame things that he had on the screen, like quick little jokes like grr or r.
That's true.
And pretty much most of the things, I'm not going to say 100%, but pretty much most of the text that he had on the screen directly related to what he was saying. But the problem for this one is that he had it worked independently. It was very much so its own thing for a while, and it became less commentary on what he was saying and more commentary on the image that was on the screen. And while I liked what he had to say, I had to. Now I suppose you could say that it makes it gives it more rewatch value. But I find that it cheapens what he has to say, because I'm interested in what this guy has to say, and I don't necessarily need color text on the screen. If that text had worked with what he was saying, I would have thought it was great, and I wouldn't have even brought it up other than to say that I liked it. I think it's interesting that he tells us what he skipped from Spot's review, because of course he doesn't show it all. But by doing that, he tells us what's important to him and what seems extraneous. And so he'll say that he misses the transformation process. He wants to see that action figure transform so he can see how it moves, what it's like, and you know. And I understand how that's important, because if I were to want to buy a Transformer, I'd like to know if I'm going to snap this thing in half if I'm transforming it. I think it's funny that he uses that as a negative, considering that he complains about, he wants to see it transform, but...
he says it goes too long.
Yeah, he says it goes too long. I like his breakdown. I like that whole chart board thing at the end. I just enjoy that. It was kind of a fun gimmick. And I like that he acknowledges his own problems. That's something that I think some critics have, that if they do it, then it must not be a problem. Well, this guy realized that there's something that Spot did that's kind of an issue, and he realizes that he does it himself.
I made the same note. It seemed almost like the reason he caught it is because it's something he's trying to work on also.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good thing, to be self-reflective and to understand yourself.
Right.
I thought it was interesting that he pointed out that Spot needed more exuberance, he needed a little more life in him, and I find that a little indicative of what he expects out of a reviewer who's reviewing something that he doesn't like. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying, we learn things about the reviewer by reviewing the reviewer.
I really like this review. I am going to disagree with Vince. I'm going to say I like the text. I liked how the text was reactionary to things he said, like where when he's talking about how it doesn't show that it transforms, he's like, maybe it's performance anxiety, and the text is like, ouch.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I really dug that.
He was like, cough. I shouldn't have said that.
I'm not saying that none of it was reactionary to what he was saying. I'm saying a lot of it. Go ahead.
But
God, you're so defensive.
Yeah. God.
Because you keep cutting him down. On the whole, I thought this was really good. I thought he also carried that kind of humorous element to it, like where he gave him a grade of Spot. I thought that was really funny.
And then he was like, a cop-out? Maybe.
And I like that he brought back the board, because we'd mentioned before that we liked the board, and I like that he brought that back. And I thought it was just a really good, comprehensive, quality review.
This review had, I think, one of, if not my favorite line of the week, and it makes me wonder if Evil Professor... I've wondered this whole time, like I can tell with Shades, I can tell with other people, I've wondered this whole time how much Evil Professor scripts his stuff, or if he's just that clever off the cuff. Like, it's hard to tell, because, he does stuff with his hands, so it's like, he might write stuff down and memorize some things, I don't know what he does, but when he's complaining toward the beginning, about Spot's, he spends too much time on the package and things like that, and then he backs off a little bit, and he says, well, I'm part of the Nintendo generation, I have the attention span of a ham and cheese sandwich. And then, and I don't know if he did this on purpose, but his very next line is, after he says ham and cheese sandwich, his very next line is, let's move on to the meat of the video. I thought that was clever. I really liked that.
I question why he didn't say turkey and Swiss. I mean, come on.
But he had a lot of really good points. I liked that he, once again, like I think everybody this week did this, but you know, he picked something that he had a lot to say on both sides. He had a lot of good things, and he had a lot of bad. And with the board thing, it was really cool that he had 3 pros and 3 cons. Now that was really great. I didn't feel that he pulled his punches really, except for maybe the text thing. But then that was comedic, so maybe it's okay. You know, like he'd say something, and I wonder sometimes if the text was an afterthought. If it was sort of like, well, maybe I can soften the blow a little bit by saying this. You know what I mean? Like performance anxiety. Like, I don't know if I would have questioned that, but he did. You know, but again, I thought that was really funny. And once again, he picked a video where you could make the case that is a pretty major problem if you're, watching action figure reviews, that you'd have a transform, you don't get to see a transform. It's ironic. I thought that maybe it went on longer than it had to, but then maybe that was on purpose because that was part of his point. and so, he gets to the end and he's got his, he summarized his entire video. Like, did he really have to do that? No. Was it effective? Maybe.
I also agree with Eric. I also enjoyed the text jokes. And I think that's kind of a ongoing theme, so I think it worked really well here, as well as making fun of himself as well. With that one, I can't remember what that one line was when he was criticizing him for something he does himself. And so I don't know, they're kind of fun little Easter eggs, especially maybe if you don't see him the first time around. And also, I think probably his best moment is when he criticizes him for not transforming the toy. Because I was thinking that myself. Because I've seen some Transformer, toy reviews, and that's kind of usually my favorite part. Actually, is transforming the toy. I actually got into this a little bit because I actually like Drift. If I could find one, I maybe would buy one because it's a cool character, and I didn't know they had one out. So I like the fact that I'm maybe going off script here, but I like the fact that you can put his little swords into the doors. They're sort of like sword holsters.
Oh, I like that text when he said, "Should swords bend?"
Yeah. That was hilarious. See, and
I also liked when he said, "Sorry, Manos." I also liked when he said, "And it rolls like most cars should."
I remember watching that and thinking, man, I remember the first time I saw Transformer toys, and I didn't expect them to roll because they got that little torque transforming into a figure, and then. Then I saw one in person, and like, oh wow, it rolls! This is the best toy ever. The chart at the end is brilliant. I think you should always do that. That's a good way to sum up. Yeah, it's a really entertaining video.
Also, I just thought of this. Was he not also the only one of the 4 this week that went through the review systematically from beginning to end?
I think so.
It was a good way to go.
And also, what I thought was funny is he had to warn his viewers, like, hey, these hands you see in just a moment aren't going to be mine.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we're going to look at someone else's hands.
No, what I thought was funny was the way he phrased it, because he said, you're not going to be looking through my hands. You're going to be looking through somebody else's hands. Like, his hands are, in fact, the thing that sees.
Now we're getting kind of metaphysical, aren't we?
Maybe that's why I figure so much he's secretly blind.
Okay, now we're going to go on to Mr. Fusion's review of Captain Logan's Batman Begins review.
Superhero Rewind is my favorite segment of Geekvolution's lineup. It's basically a weekly superhero movie review that Captain Logan does, with its stated goal to eventually include every single superhero-related movie ever made. But has he covered the 1949 Batman and Robin, or last year's animated Wonder Woman, like someone else? I didn't think so. But he has done 2005's Batman Begins, and this is the Superhero Rewind I've chosen to review today. I feel this one is somewhat important for a couple of reasons. It was one of the first superhero rewinds to feature the newly designed animated logo based on the flying text of the Superman movies. While a new cover does not necessarily a new product make, at the very least it's a milestone. The second more important reason is that it was the first superhero rewind to be made after YouTube released its time restrictions. So while most prior superhero rewind segments ran from 10 to 15 minutes, this behemoth clocks in at just under 25, and that does make it stand out from previous installments. So I guess I'll start out at the very beginning to mention the logo. While I miss the previous font and wall of movie posters that preceded it, that doesn't take away from how well and professionally it's done. I was quite impressed the first time I saw it. I might have personally preferred an intro that was more uniquely superhero rewind, but the overall presentation is a significant step up.
And let's start once again with Vince.
like to say that the video that the channel was on was horrible, that Geekvolution thing. I hate that. Anyway, I thought the video was good, but I'd like to start with the thing that bothered me. I don't know why I have to start that. That goes against everything I've ever learned, but I'm going to start with the thing that bothers me because that's what I wrote down first.
We had a challenge where we made them start with something they liked, Vince.
Yeah, I know, and I'm going to be a hypocrite here.
He's not in that challenge. He's a judge. He can do what he wants.
The audio track for the video going on as a constant buzz in the background, that bothered me because it was distracting from what he was saying. I found it to be kind of like the text in the Evil Professor's video. I was sitting there I wasn't trying to hear what Cap was saying because, of course, if I wanted to hear that, I could just go watch his video. But I think he should have just taken it out entirely or made it extremely quiet because it was like I was sitting in a movie theater trying to watch a movie, but the guy sitting in the seat next to me was humming loudly. So, because that happens
My voice
so
is
frequently.
just that annoying.
He covers missed opportunities, which I think is interesting, and I don't think that he... Well, maybe he considered it, but he didn't actually mention it in the video. I think if he did consider it, he should have mentioned in the video that some of the missed opportunities, such as talking about Morgan Freeman's character, et cetera, were taken out to make it more manageably timed. And at least, I don't know what you were really thinking, Cap, because after
If that's
all...
the case, it didn't really work, did it?
I'm not exactly you. I'm an entirely different person. So the point is that I think that maybe keeping it under 6 hours would have been difficult for Cap. Maybe that's what he was considering. And I think maybe Mr. Fusion should have mentioned that. I think it's interesting that he points out some aesthetic type issues with strange pictures being chosen, like
The Batman
an
one.
interesting little growly picture. It's like the difference between angry-looking Batman and constipated-looking Batman being a fraction of a frame apart.
The sad thing is, I was laughing at that picture when I chose it.
That's what that's one of the things, if I may. When he threw that up, and that was something that went back. I always thought that was kind of a funny still you would use too. I mean,
I think he ultimately points out that
It looks like Batman's about to eat a hamburger.
yeah, I'll have a double cheeseburger. Hold the bell.
It's not who you are underneath. Hold on, let me get this hamburger.
McDonald's, can we trust them? I thought the review was good. I thought he points out an interesting issue, whether he does it intentionally or not. The idea that, first of all, he points out that the review is very text based, and it has to be very intricately considered and typed out, and with a strange picture like that, it sort of throws it off beat. So maybe what he's saying is you have to either you really need to integrate comedy into the entirety of your piece if you're going to have a comedic element, or maybe he's saying that having something that odd that quickly put in there is off-putting. I'm not exactly, he does say what he has to say, but like an overall theme for his piece, I think I was a little unsure, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just trying to read into this thing more than he actually intended me to read into it.
I liked this video a lot. I thought the humor in the first minute or two really, really worked, where he's just like dreaming about all of us criticizing him. I thought that was really funny. I
love some of the lines he used from things we'd said before, and my favorite, because he played it like louder than anything else, was when Spot said, "I couldn't decide how I was enjoying it." I was just kind of imagining him being up at night going, "What does that mean?"
I thought he went the most all the way with it, with the idea of like, now he finally really gets to, get his revenge type of a thing. And I thought it was really funny. And then the review starts, and that kind of went away, with the exception of the one line early on that really made me laugh that I missed the first time. But when I rewatched it, where he talked about how Superhero Rewind, the goal is to review all the superhero movies ever. And he just goes, yeah, but has he reviewed the 1949 Batman and Robin? I think not. And that was really funny. because he has, and it was a really good review. I thought like some of his criticisms were interesting. Like I wouldn't have thought about that if I were doing the review. Like he talks about not completely loving the text and how the pictures are kind of not exactly the right way. What's that word? Fitted for the screen. So I thought it was really good. I thought he just he did a really, really good critical analysis review of a review. At the same time, he had this really good sense of humor about it.
I couldn't stop laughing at the beginning, like when with the stuff we were talking about when he was like
I like when he slams the table and the text goes down.
Yeah, and it was just so like he's been showing off his editing skills every week, and like it hit its peak this time. I thought I was like, wow, I didn't know he could do stuff like that. Like it just looks awesome, and it was really funny. It was really effective. And as I listened to it, I really enjoyed that he had so much constructive criticism. I agreed with nearly everything he said, and a lot of the stuff that he was talking about, where he was like, in a shorter review, I would understand why you didn't talk about this character and this character, like Vince was talking about earlier. But since you're at 25 minutes already, why not do it? And the thing is,
because we can't all be Red Letter Media.
Well, I had a bit on Morgan Freeman's character, and I cut it out because of time. And he was totally right. If it's 25 minutes, why not 28? What I really appreciated is the fact that he brought up things that I really needed to fix overall in the series. The technical stuff I really appreciated, and it was great coming from him because that's one of the things he's really good at. And so one of the things he mentioned was the fact that the starfield shifts because I go from the actual intro thing to a picture of the starfield. And so after I saw that review, I started trying to think of ways to fix it, and subsequently I fixed that now. And I never would have even thought about it because I didn't think anybody would notice. And then when he did, I was like, okay, I should work on that. So I fixed it. I'm more careful about aspect ratio now and things like that. So I guess for me personally, since it was my review, I just really appreciated that I got so much out of it.
I also enjoyed, that opening was just so funny. And also, I like the fact that, he uses the Beatles song as he's, like, pulling himself out of bed and going to the kitchen. One of the things I like about the videos he's been doing, and he has been sort of giving us, in a way, kind of a narrative in his videos. He's been... I do feel there's been kind of a thread in his work, feeling like a cohesive series of videos. And, they sometimes... I also noticed my voice was absent from that nightmare. Probably because I kind of feel like I've known why I've enjoyed the videos.
I think he did that on purpose.
And, let's see. I think you're right. I think he's probably, out of the four, I think he was the best of, finding pieces here and there to critique that really, I think helped you, Logan, with further videos. I like you, I hadn't even noticed that switch in the titles at the beginning. So that was really perceptive, I have to say. And of course, it was just funny. And I also like the fact that it's like, there's nothing with Vince in this. So he, doodles.
That was hysterical.
Vince, what did you think of that?
I thought that was pretty funny, especially since I've worn a costume with that hat and type of mustache before. So,
that wasn't a doodle, that was an actual photo, right?
Yes, with the cabbie hat on underneath.
We've talked a lot about how much we've all learned throughout this whole process. We talk about it every week before we record, and I felt like getting to hear them talk about us like we've been talking about them, I got a lot out of it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually kind of want to just make them all go through it again, but have each of them do a different one of us.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. But
because just get more perspectives.
I'd love to see.
Your challenge for next time is to review the ones you didn't review. Get to it.
All of them in one video, and your time limit is 6 minutes. I also wanted to apologize to Evil Professor and to our viewers too for not getting to hear review spots feelings about Evil Professor's review of him, because that's the most fun part about this. And I'm sorry that happened. ReviewSpot has really good reason for not being here tonight, and like I said, we'll get his votes later on, and if they sway the contest, they'll certainly count. But I'm sorry you're not going to get his actual feelings on it. Hopefully he'll be back with us next time. Let's go ahead and the four of us then talk about Top Banana, and let's start with Vince.
See, the trouble for me is I'm leaning.
The time limit is 6 minutes.
I'm leaning a little bit because, first of all, I like the aesthetic of Mr. Fusion. I thought he made a piece that was pretty cohesive and good. And you know what? Fine. I'm gonna go with Mr. Fusion. What do you know?
Okay, Eric.
All right. I'm kind of going back and forth between Mr. Fusion and Corellian. The first time I watched through, I was like, I'm gonna go with Corellian just because the whole gag with the bribe was just so funny. And at this point, all the reviews were so good, like that's kind of what's swaying me. Was things like that. But when I rewatched, I really, really liked Fusion's opening, and then just the entire video. So I'm gonna go with Fusion, but Corellian's a really close second.
I too am gonna have to go with Fusion. He put so much work into it, and I mean he always does. But I loved his balance of having a really good critical analysis of something, and also sort of kind of make fun of us for this challenge, but then also he showed that he really enjoyed doing it, and that it was cool for him and all of that. So I don't know, it was really complex, and everybody was fantastic, but I'm gonna have to go Fusion. Manos, are you gonna break the vicious cycle?
Yes. No. Yes. I think.
Yes. No. Yes. Maybe.
No, I have to agree also. Fusion, as usual, is just too entertaining not to vote for. He was just
and
amazing.
that's 5 weeks in a row.
So I'm assuming that Fusion is safe in this particular one.
Well, I don't know, Corellian was able to vote off the same person and vote at Top Banana. Okay, so
just because we really liked it didn't mean there weren't flaws.
So Fusion, between the four of us, is unanimously Top Banana. Obviously, 4-1, Spot wouldn't be able to sway this, but once again, we'll see what his vote would have been later on. And now we're going to go ahead and make the attempt to vote someone off. And Vince, you get the wonderful honor of starting.
All right. I vote off everybody. Goodbye. No.
He throws his mic down and runs off the stage.
Considering this is a very expensive mic that does not belong to me, I'm not going to do that. But
it's a terrible mental image.
Here's my $8 mic. You can throw that down.
I think that was the tax for this mic.
So I'm leaning back and forth, and I'm going to say why for a couple of the reviewers. I was almost going to vote off Corellian because of his editing issues with his with the sound being out of sync. It's a small problem, but it's still a problem. I almost
did everything he could do to make up for it too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then I almost want to vote off the Evil Professor for the exact reason that everybody liked him, other than me. But the text I felt in this particular video I felt was intrusive.
Oh, you're so subversive.
But the one I am going to vote off, and I do feel bad about this, is Shades at Night, because although it was a very good video, it was a very good it was a very good review video, but it was very well thought out, and he did show us that he's starting to play the game a bit. What he ultimately did, and I'm not voting him off because he didn't have much humor in the video. That's perfectly fine. You can have a very dry piece and it still be a very good review. But the only thing that he did to show us that he was playing the game was that he chose not to review an X-Men video, and I felt like that's really there is a certain amount of credit to be given to a person for doing what they do in their style and sticking to their guns. But in some ways it hurts them within the overall competition. So unfortunately, Shades, I'm sorry, but I vote you off.
Eric.
Pass. I actually am gonna go with Shades as well. I thought Shades' video was really good, but I just thought it's kind of dry, and that's not really a fault of the video. It's just that I found more enjoyment with the other ones because they kind of had that comedy element. So while the video on its own was really good, I just found myself enjoying the other ones a little bit more. So I'm gonna go with Shades.
If I had my way, we wouldn't vote anybody off this week.
That's not true. This is your contest.
Unfortunately, there are rules, and it would be wrong of me to.
They're your rules.
I know, but you know, what? You're telling me we wouldn't have the same problem next time? I mean, well, anyway, and this, I think I had gotten to this same conclusion myself before you guys said what you said. I too am sadly going to vote off Shades of Night, and I can't believe I'm doing that. Shades had a fantastic video, but it didn't have the same impact for me that the other three did. You know, entertainment is a factor, and it's not the most important factor. But when everybody is really, really entertaining, and they're also doing all the technical stuff right, I guess I'm gonna have to go entertainment value on this one, and so I'm gonna have to vote for Shades. Manos?
I am also gonna have to vote Shades of Night off. I unfortunately have to pick one out of this group, and you know, I was thinking like if this was first week, second week, I obviously would not be thinking Shades at all, because all of these videos are good, and Shades is quite good the way he deliberates on Eric's video. It's just, you're right, it's the least entertaining of the group.
And that's not to say that it's not entertaining.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, all these are entertaining, all four of them. It's the one that made the least impact them. And you gotta pick somebody, so I have to pick Shades, and I apologize. But
it should be though if we just made up all those reasons on the spot. We just rolled a die, and just went with that one.
And then I let everybody know what the die roll was, so they all had to do the same thing.
We found a list of stock reasons to vote people off on reality shows. Had a D20, whatever number came up was the one we chose.
Well, unfortunately, Shades of Night has been voted off. Thanks a lot for playing the game, and we all had an extremely fun time having you with us. Now we've got 3 people left. We're down to the top 3, and it's Mr. Fusion, Mr. Corellian, and the Evil Professor.
Mr. Evil Professor.
Mr. Evil Professor. and the challenge for next time, and I've checked to make sure that everybody is going to have the equipment to do this, though they don't know exactly what they're doing yet. Our top 3 people for next time are going to do a co-op review. A lot of us have done co-op reviews, and I thought it would be interesting to see how they reviewed things as a group, and how they did, having to play together. So we're going to ask the last 3 remaining to get on a Skype call and review the same thing. Can be anything they want. You guys are going to have to talk to each other, over personal messages or whatever, and decide what it is you'd like to review. Find something you all have or can get, and then go ahead and review it and together on a Skype call. I'm not going to have a strict date for this one, because who knows what schedules are like and things like that. Do your best to get it together within the next 2 weeks. And if you can't get it in 2 weeks, please just send me a message and let me know what your progress is. But there will be no penalization or anything like that if you can't get it done in 2 weeks. Heaven forbid, considering it took us 5 weeks just to do this. So anyway, the time limit on this one is 1/2 hour. It's going to be 3 people talking, so you can go as long as a half an hour. And I'm not. You guys, let me know what you think about this. I don't think we should be too worried about editing on this one.
No, because it's 3 people.
And one person would have to do all the editing. So make this more like a podcast type review, but just keep in mind that we're still going to talk about all the stuff that makes for good reviews. So try to have organization, and we're gonna look at if who's doing the most talking and who's getting who's not letting people get words in edgewise and things like that. I mean you just do your best to have a good conversation and review something together. Like I said, it can be anything you guys want it to be, just a half an hour, and it doesn't matter whose channel it's posted on. So nobody has anything else left to add for that?
I'm sorry.
I'm spent.
No, I'm just making sure you guys are.
No, I'm sorry to Shades.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Shades too. It's
I'm gonna miss that guy. Well,
Well,
it's
he's
not like
still
he's still here. I can watch his channel anytime I want.
well, and let's be fair. This is not the first time that we've been upset about having to vote someone off. But anyway, thanks a lot. Once
All those
again.
times up till now were just practice for how bad we really feel.
Well, thanks a lot for listening to this very uplifting edition of Who Reviews the Reviewers. And once again, I'll post the review spots. Votes, obviously, they're not going to sway anything, but it'll be nice to know what he thought as well. He is one of our judges, and hopefully we'll have him back again next time. We will try to be with you sometime before the end of the year. No, I'm kidding. But
That's a long time.
but yeah, hopefully we'll have round 6 up within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And thanks once again for listening. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Vince.
I'm Eric.
And I am Justin.
You have a name?
That's the big reveal.
Who reveals the reviewer?
We'll see you next time.
Do.